In a world designed to hijack our attention, choosing to be present is a radical act. Presence is a superpower, an absolute superpower of this time. Your nervous system can actually rewire, so presence becomes your default state, not something that you have to fight for every day. Hello, my loves. It feels beautiful to be back here with you with a solo episode. This one is close to my heart. It's called The Rhythm of Rebellion, Meditation for a Wild and Beautiful Life. Because these last years have changed the shape of daily life. So this episode is an offering, a love letter to meditation, to the power of presence, to the quiet acts that rebuild our inner worlds, so we can meet this outer world without burning out. I speak about the neuroscience, the energy body, the emotional and relational ripples of this practice, and why it matters so much in these times. And if you're ready to go deeper with this, to weave practice into your week and be held in a beautiful field of presence and care, you are so welcome to join me in The Rhythm, our live practice space that meets twice a week. We are also about to enter Navaratri, a sacred 9-night journey honoring the goddess, and I'll be guiding a special community practice with mantra every night for Durga and Kali. So if you'd like to be part of it, come and find the details at amisha.co.uk/events. For now, let this be a pause, a homecoming, a moment for you to breathe, an ignition or reignition. Let's begin. Welcome to All That We Are, with me, your host, Amisha Tala Oak. On this show, we explore the weave between activism, the sacred, creativity, and regeneration, the spaces where our inner and outer worlds dance. From healing trauma to nature connection, to new technologies, to ancient wisdom, it's time for us to move beyond silos and into an integrated way of being. Every one of us has ideas and personal experiences to share that can lead us to a more beautiful future. Despite the challenges we face as a global community or the pressures we meet in our daily lives, when we stop and dare to listen, to ask ourselves the big questions, and to share what we are already doing and envisioning, we create the futures of our wildest dreams, and we begin to embody all that we are becoming, and all that is possible. I've been contemplating a lot how the day-to-day has changed so much in the last 5 years. How our attention gets pulled in 50 directions often before we've had breakfast. How the first thing we see each day is often someone else's life. It's not that we're doing anything wrong, it's that the world we live in wasn't built for human nervous systems. And honestly, most of us are just trying to keep our heads above the noise. I see it in myself, the mornings when I reach for my phone before my breath. I can feel it. My mind gets scattered, my body tightens. And yet there's this comforting and icky feeling all at the same time. But the mornings that I sit quietly first, even if it's just for a few minutes, the mornings that I really meet the day with silence, everything changes. The noise doesn't disappear, but something in me stops being ruled by it. And that's what I want to talk about today. Because in a world designed to hijack our attention, choosing to be present is a radical act. This isn't about spiritual performance or becoming perfectly calm or productive. It's about reclaiming our minds, our energy, our ability to respond to life instead of just react to it. That's why I created The Rhythm as a steady space to practice this together, to build nervous system capacity so we can meet life honestly with all its chaos and its beauty. And today, I want to explore why meditation matters more than ever, how it reshapes our brains, strengthens our energy field, softens emotional reactivity, and quietly rewires the way we move through the world. Let's be honest, we are living inside a constant attention war and in a world of war. Every platform is designed to extract our focus, to flood our brains with dopamine spikes and keep us hooked in the scroll. And this is so mixed in with our desire for connection with each other, with our friends around the world, with the people who we care about. And this gets mixed in with all the adverts and all of the suggested posts that send us each down the rabbit holes it chooses for us. Over time, this relationship with our phones and with social media, it rewires us. It shrinks the hippocampus, the part of the brain that stores memory and regulates emotion. It overactivates the amygdala, the fear center. It weakens the prefrontal cortex, the part that lets us plan, create, and imagine the future. This is why so many of us feel more anxious, more reactive, more exhausted, even when nothing is wrong. We are trying to run human lives on systems built to burn us out. It's not your fault, it's the environment that we are in, but it is our responsibility to find another way. And meditation is one of the most powerful tools that we have from that. I know this not just from the science, but from living inside it. When I remember back to before I started my own meditation and yoga journey, I was completely scattered and I didn't even realize how far I drifted away from myself. I was always overstimulated. I was a flurry of thoughts that couldn't really fully anchor in creative form. And I was often burnt out. When I think back to then, my life was so much easier in comparison to how it is now externally in terms of what I have to do each day and the responsibilities that I have. And yet I didn't have the tools that I have now. And what I've really come to understand is that it's not about being weak or undisciplined, but it is a time that we're living in this world where there is so much vying for our attention. When CEOs of streaming platforms say that their main competitor is sleep, and they say that publicly. And when the devices that we have in our hands, that we're constantly always looking at, touching, checking, they are pulling us into like such deep addiction. It's really fascinating because one of the things that I observe is some of the most creative, magical, inspiring people that I know are out there posting, and they're on there and they're checking Instagram stories, which means I know that they're sat there scrolling. There's something in this that I just feel like, oh, we need to reclaim this time, and we need to find better ways to connect and to be with each other so that we still get that sense of connection and being together and shared experience, but in a different way. You see, meditation is not about escaping life. It's about returning to it. It's not about silencing your thoughts or floating off into bliss. It's about building the inner strength to meet reality as it is without being swallowed by it. This is the beautiful thing. Like, your brain is built to change. Neuroscience shows that regular meditation actually reshapes the structure of your brain. It quietens the default mode network, that part that loops on worry and self-criticism. It strengthens the hippocampus, helping to regulate emotion and memory. It shrinks the amygdala, so you react less from fear. It activates the prefrontal cortex, the seat of empathy, creativity, wise decision making, visioning. So you basically become less ruled by stress and more able to respond with clarity. And the effects are cumulative. With consistent practice, your baseline brainwave state begins to shift. You spend more time in alpha and theta states, the calm, creative, connected states, instead of being locked in high beta stress mode. This isn't about chasing bliss, it's about raising your capacity to be with life as it is, messy, beautiful, complicated, without burning out, without turning away, without running away from it. And this isn't just theory. I felt these shifts in my own body. There was a moment when I had, before COVID, some tests done to check like my average brainwave pattern. And I was in an average alpha wave pattern, which basically means that my brain was operating most of the time as if I was meditating. In the years since then, I've had some really tricky situations, and I wasn't able to show up for my daily meditation as I had before. And I wasn't going off on these like deep retreats and immersions and really immersing myself in these practices. I was like in a very day-to-day stressful situation. Although I can't say that it's true that I remained in that alpha state all the time. Of course, the stress and the anxiety and the worry creeped in, but my baseline was able to stay with my head above the water because of having this whole experience and language, if you like, of meditation in my system. What I've noticed is that from that, then when I sit down for shorter periods, be it a minute, 5 minutes, 20 minutes, that I can tap into that knowing that my body, that my nervous system, that my energy state has, and I can come more deeper into that place of presence and inspiration and softness. And I really believe that being able to live in this world at this time with inspiration, optimism, courage, softness is such a powerful, powerful way to rebel against everything that is breaking, is collapsing, is violent in this world, and to say, like, I'm not being taken over by that. Like, I am going to live here with my heart fully open, not in a ridiculous way, but in a really like grounded, rooted, empowered way. And that's what I believe is possible. Your nervous system can actually rewire. So presence becomes your default state, not something that you have to fight for every day. And that then, no matter what shows up in your life and in the world, you can have a grounded presence within it. And that grounded presence allows you to be with what is and to lend a hand, to lift yourself and others up, and to grieve, to be present also to the sadness, to the heartbreak, and able to transmute those emotions. Whereas if we get so stressed and anxious, we always just end up numbing out, because numbing out is so easy. There are so many ways to numb out, and more of them have come into our homes. And so having a cultivation that really allows presence is a superpower, an absolute superpower of this time. Because when your nervous system is steady, you can feel more, love more, imagine more. Your emotional reactivity softens. You can pause before reacting in conflict. You can stay open in disagreement. You can have space to breathe before speaking when something hurts. It doesn't make you numb, it makes you spacious. And it ripples into every relationship. And I know, because there are moments when I have that reactivity where I can feel my wounds and my patterns leaning into the rejection and the stories. It's very different to when I can see and experience the hurt that I feel from how something is playing out in a relationship, but still stay grounded into myself and see it more clearly with discernment and without blame and with an ability to keep the door open, to stay in connection. I was with some dear friends on the path, Jessica Epperson Lusty and Tanya Mishwick, and we were just discussing like what it takes to be really incredible space holders. And a big part of that is the ability to stay in connection, to stay with what is arising in life and in our own inner worlds, how things are processing through us that are bigger collective patterns, and to be able to keep turning towards it. And when you have that capacity in yourself, you can have that capacity for others and in transformational work, such as in retreats or one-to-one work and all of that kind of thing, which has become so popular to do. But you'll notice out there that like not everyone does it very skillfully, because there can be such an emphasis on like the light, on like the beauty, on like creating these kind of frictionless experiences. And actually there's so much in what that darkness is that brings so much power to us, that actually none of us are living these perfect lives where we don't meet challenge and difficulty and darkness. In this culture that we're in of wellness and performative spirituality, where so many people become space holders, having not really done much training or been on deep initiations themselves, or even had that much life experience, you can feel that. And it creates these distorted and unsafe and challenging spaces that turn people off what these tools that starts with meditation. Really, like meditation is the the gateway, the key, the place where you practice and cultivate working with stillness and energy and coming to know and love your own body, mind, soul. And when we can stay in connection and when we can take those pauses in our relationships, it changes everything. It makes us actually more available and more loving, because we stop drowning in other people's storms and in our own storms and come into a space where we are rooted and present and can see more clearly, which means processing the hurt and the pain and the grief and the disappointment can happen at the same time as seeing the love and the beauty and the effort and the joy and that feeling of being alive and being here, and how we always have grief and gratitude at the same time. That we only feel the grief because we see the sadness of what is happening to what we love. And to be able to connect to that sadness, we have to be able to connect to that love. So if you do feel deeply, if you do feel something, be so proud of yourself that you haven't chosen to numb out in these times, in these years, that you keep your heart open. One of the things that I really love about meditation is it's not just stillness. It's not this harsh stopping of the thoughts that I once learned it was, but it's actually a cultivation of the energy body as well. Beyond the maps of the brain, there is the shimmering terrain of your energy field. You are not just skin and bone. You are field, you are frequency. Every time you sit to meditate, you gather your scattered energy back to the center. Your aura strengthens, your presence sharpens. You stop leaking your energy into every room and absorbing what isn't yours. Your Sushumna Nadi, your central channel, clears like a river after rain. And slowly, quietly, your whole system remembers how magnificent you actually are. And you realize that you don't have to fear other people's energy. I feel like there's so much in the modern spiritual world that makes us fear the other. Like that person drains me, or I'm at capacity and I can't handle being in connection with that person. I don't have space for it. And often it's the projection of what it is that we don't have space for. But if you were actually to meet that person eye to eye, you might have space to work through the conflict. You might not have to protect yourself in a way where that kind of makes the other or the outside world bad. You often hear a lot of people in the new age spirituality world being like, I can't go to cities, or that person drains me, or this is toxic for me, or like that's too much. And it's like, well, how can you actually use these practices to strengthen your capacity to be there and to be present? I know it's possible. And I know, because I've experienced it in myself and in my clients, that you become that energetic protection, not by putting up walls around you, but by strengthening from within through the Sushumna Nadi, so that that energy that is core of you, that is connected to above and below, that is what radiates out. And that in itself creates protection. And it creates a sense that you can transmute energies, that you don't have to be scared, that you don't have to avoid, that you can move towards, and that you can be in relationship with all that is, with all that we are. And here's the part I really want you to hear, is that this does not have to be perfect. You don't have to sit on a mountain. You don't need the perfect altar of an hour of silence every morning. Sometimes I meditate for 20 minutes by candlelight, and sometimes it's 3 breaths while standing barefoot at the kitchen sink, or taking those slow and steady meditative breaths whilst I'm out walking with my dog. It hasn't always been neat or ceremonial for me, and I would say that I have gone into both extremes. There's been seasons of my life where my practice and my devotion has been everything, and I have just wanted to practice, and even moments early on where I even felt scared that if I didn't do my practice, like everything would go wrong and I would be to blame, like, this sort of dogmatic way of understanding the practice. And there's been times where I haven't had like the emotional, mental, spiritual space to sit down and practice, because life has been offering me that opportunity to be present in every moment. In that time, I've had to practice my meditation as something else, and it's been turning towards staying with, not running away from, keeping my heart open, keeping on extending my hand. And all of that happens through my breath, through my body. But it still held me. What I've found is that I can move between these states. If my baseline becomes somewhat meditative, then when I actually close my eyes and go into a deeper practice, it's quick, it's instant, it's there. And I can go from that to then being in relationship and needing to do something for others, or being in work. It doesn't have to then have these perfect intros and outros. And I'm reminded that with meditation, it's not about how long or how perfect it looks. It's about returning again and again, even if it's just 3 breaths. And it's really about cultivating this language, the language of energy, the language of stillness, the language of connection deep within you. So this becomes part of the language that you speak. We live in a culture that glorifies urgency and monetizes our distraction. Capitalism depends on our reactivity, on our endless scrolling and consuming. Meditation interrupts that pattern. It creates space between stimulus and response. And in that space lives your sovereignty. This is why meditation is not a retreat from life. It is radical engagement with it, because regulation is contagious. Your stillness becomes medicine. This is not withdrawal. It is resistance through radiance. And that radiance makes you safer to others, and it makes you more able to participate in beautiful cultural shifts in other ways, whether that's through your activism, through your creativity, through your parenting. That's why I created The Rhythm as a space where we practice this together every week. So you don't have to walk back to yourself alone. So you can build this steadiness gently with others who are choosing it too. We gather twice a week for 30 minutes, a rhythm of breath, movement, meditation, mantra, prayer, presence. We whisper with the trees once a month. We rest in a library of practices. We show up imperfectly and we keep returning to the center. You can join as a member or come for a single drop-in just to taste the space. You don't have to be ready. You just have to be willing. And whether this is in addition to your own daily practice, or whether this is your practice and you don't have time to drop in deeper outside of these sessions, it doesn't matter, because you'll receive something from both. Some people that are part of The Rhythm are new to meditating, and these little half an hour, maybe they only come to one a week, and that is their moment of that connection. For others, they might be doing their own practices every day, and this takes them deeper. And whichever it is for you is all good. There are people that are lifelong meditators, there are people that are space holders, and there are people that are beginners. And all of that together creates this incredible field that we can all then deepen into and be replenished in. Meditation is not just about calming the mind. It's a whole body, whole being recalibration. With each practice, your nervous system learns to rest and repair. Your mind clears, your emotions soften, your energy flows freely, and you remember your place in the wider web of life. It's not separate parts of you being worked on one at a time, but an entire ecosystem coming into harmony, like an instrument being tuned so every note you play in life rings true. That's what we cultivate here in The Rhythm, steady practices that touch every layer of who you are, so you can meet these times with clarity, resilience, and presence. When you meditate alone, you're essentially working with your own internal neurochemical weather. And so you can experience changes like your serotonin rising during and after meditation, supporting feelings of calm, satisfaction, and emotional stability, which is why meditation can feel like a soft reset. Dopamine, certain forms of meditation, especially focused attention, will boost your dopamine, giving you a sense of reward, clarity, and motivation. You'll have increases in GABA, the gamma aminobutyric acid, which quieten down overreactive neural circuits, reducing anxiety and mental chatter, and a rise of endorphins, especially during deep or blissful states, giving a gentle euphoria similar to what you get from running. Evening meditation can raise melatonin, and this adds to better sleep and restfulness. And your cortisol gently decreases, which reduces the stress load on your body. And your brain waves then tend to shift towards the alpha, the calm, alertness, and the theta, the dreamlike introspection states. What's beautiful is when you meditate with others, and this can happen on Zoom as well as when you're with people in groups or your friends and family at home, the chemistry shifts can become more layered because social and energetic factors come into the mix. And so, as well as everything else, there's oxytocin, the bonding hormone that rises in groups, and where there's a synchronicity of breathing together, chanting, presence, and that warmth, trust, and sense of safety is created together. You begin to mirror neuron activation. And so your brain naturally syncs to others, and that can bring you into a co-regulated state that is calmer, focused, inspired, energized. And it's why it's so important that you meditate with people that you know, with people that you have like a relationship with. So many people use like the random apps with like random people like reading meditations, and they're not necessarily teachers, sometimes actors. You want to meditate with people that have a practice and an ancestral lineage and a devotion, so that when you come into their field and you're connecting into that, you're also like benefiting, and the syncing is to and within that field and that transmission. And you get stronger dopamine surges when you're in a group space. And that's why you often can drop deeper, as well as the greater coherence of brain patterns that come in that space of group meditation. And so, as well as it being something that when you do it with others, helps you to stay focused and not be distracted. I know that I've had experiences before where I've been doing a meditation or even an online yoga class. I'm so sorry to the teacher. And I've actually stopped and started doing something else in between, or looked at my phone and gone down a rabbit hole, or something's flashed up, or I've like left the room and gone and done something else and then come back. Especially when we're doing these things at home, that we can be a little bit naughty and distracted, especially as we've all got used to spending more time at home and working from home. And so that's one of the reasons that I feel like doing something live together is so potent. And you can just come on for that half an hour and be present and be in that space and remain focused and be both in your own energy in a stronger way and in the group field. I probably don't need to tell you, but there are just so many benefits that come from meditation. And this is why it's such a superpower, and yet such an easy to access tool. The physical benefits can include stress reduction, and which eases the load on your immune system and your cardiovascular health as your cortisol and adrenaline is lowered. The nervous system regulation, so strengthening your parasympathetic response, so you're in rest and digest mode more, helping you to recover faster from the stresses of life. The increased endorphins can actually bring pain relief. And of course, better sleep, as the melatonin calms racing thoughts and improves sleep quality. Your heart health lowers your blood pressure, improves circulation, balances heart rate variability, and reduces inflammation. And that improves your immune response and your general energy levels. Basically, it takes your body out of emergency mode and into healing mode. And then there's the mental and the cognitive benefits as you become clearer and steadier in your mind, a sharper focus from that increase in dopamine and the strengthen of the prefrontal cortex, improving concentration and imagination. Emotional regulation, bringing that greater balance between the amygdala and the rational brain. Reduction in anxiety and depression, and the serotonin and GABA like allow for that shifting mood and mental patterns to be more consistent. You also literally rewire your brain for resilience and adaptability through the neuroplasticity. And it brings more creativity and problem solving, opening to the alpha and theta states, which are linked to insight and innovation. And it allows you to see things, to be more open to adventure, to be more open to the new, and to experiencing more wonder and joy. And of course, the emotional and relational benefits is that your heart softens and expands, you have greater empathy and compassion, that you have more oxytocin, heart coherence, improved self-awareness as you recognize your own patterns, less reactivity so that you come out of old emotional loops, healthier relationships as you're more grounded and present. And spiritually, your inner compass aligns. There's a sense of connection, whether it's to nature, the divine, shared human experience and essence. It brings a deep felt sense of belonging, of sanctuary, increased intuition. And so with less mental noise, you can hear the inner guidance that's speaking through your cells, have an expanded perspective. And so that narrow kind of me versus the world, like lens, it opens up into awareness, into interconnection and possibility. And you may access mystical states, non-ordinary states of consciousness, unity, timelessness, bliss, meaning making, deeper capacity to navigate uncertainty with trust and grace. It's like finding an inner well. You can keep drawing from it no matter what's happening outside. And there are the energy body benefits as your subtle body systems harmonize. You feel a natural balancing, clearing, and strengthening of your energy centers, of your chakras. And there's aura coherence as your field becomes steadier and less porous, making you less drained by others' emotions. And your vitality flows, so that life force, the prana, the chi circulates more freely, increasing overall energy. And when you hear all this, it's like, why? Why would anyone not do this? And why do we not teach everyone how to do this? And why do we not make more space for this? This is why I created the rhythm, as a space where we practice together every week. So we don't have to walk alone. And we build this gentle steadiness and empower each other together. You don't have to be a lighthouse. You don't have to be perfectly regulated. That's a lot to ask for in this world, especially if you're staying in presence. This isn't about becoming invincible. It's about becoming more able to meet yourself honestly, moment by moment. Even if you're trembling, even if you are undone, even if life is bringing you to your knees, even if you feel like you are at the very bottom of the ocean, you can still choose connection instead of overload. You can still choose love. And every now and then, in the quiet, something extraordinary happens. A moment of remembering who I am beyond all the noise. I am constantly blown away by the beauty and the awe, the spaciousness that I experience in meditation, and how I can be experiencing that, especially when I sit down with others, when 5 minutes ago I was experiencing chaos and overwhelm and was holding space for someone who was struggling. I was literally sitting in like a physical mess of overconsumption and disorder, that I can then come into this space that is a sanctuary. And that's what's so beautiful about meditation. Like when you take it away from this like chore of discipline, of self-righteousness, of like, yeah, it's really just about being able to relate to yourself and to this world with greater amounts of love and awe and joy and wonder. And it's free. We just have to cultivate it and cultivate it together. And this is the gift. It's not escaping the world. It's remembering the part of you that can meet it all, steady and unshaken. You are not the chaos. You are the one who watches the clouds pass. You are the sky, and you are the bird flying through it. Meditation is not about withdrawing from the world. It is about how we become steady enough to love it, to really love our lives and this planet freely. Come practice with me. Come practice with us inside the rhythm. Let presence be your rebellion. Let stillness be your power. And let your nervous system remember what it's like to be free. And with all that energy that we cultivate in that space together, in those sessions, in the rhythm, we do that all as an offering of dedication and love to all the inequality in this world, to everyone that doesn't have that space and that freedom to sit and to cultivate. And we use this soul force, this life force, in order to fully live. And in order to fully live in a way that really lifts up, not in a savior way, in a human loving way, those around us, the people in our lives, and the people that our lives and our lifestyles are taking from. And it shows us how to live in that dissonance and how to show up for everyone within that dissonance. But we have to be able to show up for ourselves. And we have to cultivate these skills, because this is not how the world that we are living in wants us to be. Because if it did, this would be taught to everyone. This is what our kids would be learning in schools. And this is what we would be asked to be doing during global pandemics or through the powers of social media. But instead, that's not what's happening. And we have to do this and hold it for ourselves. And I really want these little half an hour spaces of the rhythm to be these little portals of power that you can drop into and really meet yourself and be in that space with us as we create a community and we strengthen each other through this practice. I have danced with all the different kinds of ways of, how we do this community thing now after 8 years of the podcast and 15 years of this project. This is where I've landed. We can come together for these half an hours, stop what we're doing, make time for that half an hour to be in that energy field together, to cultivate these skills together, and to drop into those spaces so that we meet life and we meet world, we meet this moment from there. And if this speaks to you, you're so welcome to come and join the rhythm. You can join the membership, or you can drop in and try it, see how it feels. In the membership, there's also a course that I made on how to meditate, so that if you want to upskill a little bit and just go over some of the really basic things, like what to do with your thoughts and your breath and your hands, I have all of that information there for you. But you also don't need it, because you can just come and rest in that energy. I don't want to offer anything for the sake of it. Like, there's so much noise and there are so many people selling things. But I do really want to cultivate spaces of community, of care, of presence, of power. And this is it. In times like these, it is more important than ever to reconnect with our inner wisdom. Deep down, beneath the layers of who we think we should be, lies that innate power, our intuition, the source of our creativity, joy, and presence that can guide us through life with clarity and confidence and the ability to keep getting up again. So if any of this speaks to you, I will see you inside the rhythm. I am there every Monday and Thursday without fail. I hope that either way, this episode has reminded you of the power and possibility that's in you and of how you can treat and nurture yourself. Because I've seen Parkinson's up close. What I've learned is our brains are so precious and we go through so much as humans. We hold such multitudes in a lifetime, and having ways to replenish, to integrate, to shift patterns as we go. That's what I offer in my one-to-one work. And for me, the rhythm is an extension of that because we can do so much in that field of meditation. It's just so important, especially with the increases in toxicity of our food and pollution of our water and everything else that's in our environment these days. We have to cultivate ways of being clear, strong vessels. And so you are so invited to join me in the rhythm. What's also gorgeous about the rhythm is that we all smile and say hi at the end. And so it has this real beautiful moment of connection, and you can join from anywhere. And if not, I hope that this sparks some love for your own practice and possibility, and a reminder of how you can fall in love with your practice as a way of being more and more in love with this world, and a way of being more and more connected to your own inner fire that guides you and keeps you present and active, awake and alive and creative in these times. Thank you so much for being here on this journey with me, whether it's this episode that you're listening to for the first time or whether you have been listening for a number of years or for the whole 8 years. It's really a really deep honor. And when I meet you out and about and collaborate with you and become friends with you and receive messages from you about how much you receive through this podcast, it really, really means the world. Not because of the ego side of that, but because we're growing and learning together, and we're navigating fast moving times together. Yeah, it's really important that we have these spaces where we can share our experiences, where we can make sense of things, where we can be in the unknown, where we can be in the grief, where we can be in the love. So thank you so much for being here. See you inside the rhythm. Thank you for listening. We hope that you have enjoyed this episode and it has sparked some inspiration and creativity in you. As always, you can find links to everything we mention in this episode, download our book, join our experiences, and discover so much more over on allthatweare.org. We give space to our guests to share their perspective without debating it or fact-checking, as this approach allows for deep, unedited conversations from the heart. We trust your discernment and wisdom to take what is useful and challenge what isn't in your own understanding. We offer spaces for discussion and integration in our membership community, which we would love for you to join. We don't believe in selling you things you don't need through this podcast. And so it's made possible with you, our beautiful community. If you loved this and would like to connect more deeply with us, please join our membership, retreats, and experiences. Share the episode with your friends and do drop us a note from time to time. Please hit subscribe and leave us a review wherever you listen so that others can find us. This podcast is made by an all-female global team. All That We Are celebrates all that we are already and the untapped potential that lives inside us. It invites the full power of the more than human world, nature, the unseen, our ancestors, and our future generations. It reminds us that we never exist in silos through borders, timelines, or polarity. That in each and every moment, all that we are is here.